originally at the top.
Whatever approach that you were thinking about that from, maybe you were thinking about it from research, maybe you're thinking about it from a criminality aspect.
Probably both, but I mean more so probably from the research side. I think it'd be just kind of interesting to know. I think one of the first questions I would ask to kind of get the conversation moving was what kind of relationship the four of them had. You know, how did you meet each other? What sort of things did you do for fun? You know, just kind of keep it light and not really center on the murders per se initially, and just kind of get a feeling for, you know, what did you think of Rob and how long did you know him? You know, what did you think of him personally? You know, did you get along? If you could talk to him now, what would you say? And then just to kind of take it from there and say, what was, the first time that you were up in that attic and Robin had thrown this idea around, did you guys know, at the time, were you all there when the first victim was taken, or, even, was that the first victim? Now, they probably won't tell you that because they probably don't want to get charged with anything else at this point, but the ones that we know of, was it always the plan, or did Robin, Robin kind of coerce you guys into it, or say, hey, we're just going to grab this girl and have sex, and then all of a sudden it went from there? I mean, how did it transpire? And just kind of get the story from them and kind of see how how they interacted and what their relationships were, I think, initially.
I think I would. I don't know. After a while, I think I'd want to ask them the question about sexuality. I mean, because if you're eating, it's very confusing to me because you're eating a breast, but in some ritualistic manner, satanic manner, or whatever it may be, where another guy's, baby batter is on the breast. There's got to be something
that's wrong.
That's
just wrong. Yeah, that's wrong. I mean, that would be definitely one of the questions you have to ask, like, dude.
Yeah.
What were you thinking? And that was one story. I don't even know how much of that is true, or
right.
How much of that was, or which one.
I mean, it's been reported as fact at this point, but you make a good point because it's been so reported. We don't know whether it's fact or not, but nobody cares to check that. They just run with it.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, the question would eventually come up, but the idea is you want to get them talking. I probably wouldn't open with that because then you're going to probably shut them up. Because if it was true, they probably don't want to talk to you at this point because they don't want to talk about that. So, like I said, I'd probably keep it light initially and, like any interview, and then kind of give them out, as far as, what, whose idea was it? I mean, and after it happened the first time, why did you go along with it? Was there an attraction? What was the deal? Did you get something out of it, or was it, obviously you kept going back, and who knows, maybe they would stick to the story that they were just afraid of them or whatnot, but who knows, with it's hard to say, it just depends on, there were certain things, and I thought Mindhunter was a great show. I wish it would have went on longer, but
we'll get more. Don't worry.
Yeah, a lot of hopefully a lot of it was true. Is they, at some point you would strike a chord or strike a nerve, or whether it pissed them off or whether it made them like you or hate you or whatever it is. At some point, you hit something, and it becomes obvious that, oh, okay, well, good, then I'm going to stick with this, or I need to change subjects really quickly, or I'm going to run with this, and then one thing leads to another. So I think it would just be from a science, research standpoint, what's going through your mind, and even finding out more about each individual personality, other than the relationships or the killings, like what sort of things, what makes these guys tick. So.
I mean, I think the escalation of crimes makes sense to me. It's just the other things that you brought up, the weirdness that's all mixed in, the fact that it continued after one, after two, after three. You know what I mean? There was no conscience that was going on to tell these guys, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Or even if the conscience in there, the fear of getting caught, you would think would take over at some point. But I guess with a strong personality with Robin Gecht and these guys not being a strong personality, it was easy to, kind of overlook those aspects.
Right, I mean, to us it's not logical, and that's what makes it so difficult from like an interviewing standpoint, is that you can't try to put logic into an illogical situation. You just got to let it play out and let them talk, and you may not understand it. It may not even make sense to you, and it might be the truth. But that's okay, because if it doesn't make sense to you, that's okay, because it shouldn't. And when it starts making sense, then you're in trouble.
Yeah. Then you've been at it too long.
Exactly.
Back we talked about, and Blake and you really talked about this a lot. You talked about what type of killer he was, and I think you guys talked about, Blake, what was it that you guys ultimately decided on? Spree killer?
I think it was spree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you classify these guys as? I mean, like Wikipedia calls them.
They're serial killers, because it followed the same pattern and it went over a long period of time.
Right.
Like with Speck, it was just a mass murder, kind of. I mean, it was one instance, but multiple victims. It'd be like the Las Vegas shooter. He wasn't a serial killer. He just killed a lot of people all at one time. Although Speck did, supposedly, possibly, I don't think he was ever charged with it, killed people prior to that, but it was a totally different type of killing, so they weren't really linked at all. I mean, he was a killer. He was a sociopath. He could kill people and not care about it, but it wasn't a serial type of thing. Now, if he didn't get caught, would he have done it again? Probably, and then he would have graduated to serial killer, I suppose, if it was the same type of thing with nurses and the same type of way he killed them. Then he would have graduated from spree killer or mass murderer to serial killer. But
yeah, I could see that viewpoint for sure. Blake, hop in, buddy. I haven't given you enough time. You always have some interesting questions. I'll let you jump in.
Oh, I was just enjoying talking to Ray. I keep up with what he's doing on Facebook. He made a post not too long ago talking, and I don't remember exactly what it was about, but I believe it was something about domestic violence. And as a domestic violence survivor, I kind of opened up to Ray on one of his Facebook posts, and he was very kind and said, some really nice things. And I just told him I wish that I would have known somebody with his, just passion for doing the right thing when I was going through all the wrong things, because maybe then I would have had some place to turn and not have to stay, within the situation I was confined to for so many years. But Ray, I keep up with what Ray's doing, and I love all the experiences, all the good stuff, and I love that you're not just about the true crime stuff, but you're also about like the haunted, parts of Chicago, and you kind of branch out and sort of, basically get a hold of all of it and try to, just run with it and connect it all back to Chicago, in a way that's really memorable for everyone that reads the work and everyone that visits the site. So I'm just happy that you took time to come on the show again. It's been really awesome becoming your friend, Ray, getting to kind of check out what you do and go visit your site, look at all the work you're doing. And I don't know, hopefully maybe sometime soon you and I can get on a book or something together, because I'd love to sit down and do a serial killer book.
Yeah, that'd be great. Be awesome. Yeah, anytime.
Ray's also,
anytime. Yeah.
I was going to say, Ray's also good at riling people up on Facebook. He's not a Facebook troll, but goddamn, he can make one post and entertain me for days.
It's hilarious, and I don't really try to rile people.
I know,
up on
you're
Facebook.
not a troll.
I mean, every so often I just hear or see something. I'm like, I got to make a comment about this, and it's like people that it's a Facebook's a fascinating thing. I mean, it's just like, it's crazy. The one minute you think you're posting something really good or positive, or taking a side that you're like, there's no way anybody could be against you if you're talking about this or whatever it is. I'm against murdering cute kittens, and then you're always going to have someone that's really upset with you or something. So
yeah, you're like, fuck those kittens. You don't know what you're talking about, you asshole. Yeah,
exactly.
they really are.
Exactly. It's hilarious, but yeah, like the stuff like usually if it involves cops in some way, and if a cop's doing something wrong, I'll be the first one to come out against it. But I mean, the whole Jason Van Dyke thing was kind of a that was kind of a tough one, because you had I could see both sides of the issue, and so I just felt like I had to write something, and a friend of mine had gotten a hold of me afterwards, and it was just one of these things, I have to put it on paper or it's going to drive me crazy, or I have to put it in writing or it's going to drive me crazy. And this friend of mine who now works for the Federal Reserve downtown, he's the head of security there, he said that he was going to use that article as part of their use of force training, which I thought was really cool. So even though that's not why I wrote it, but just like I think just some of the subject matter and the points of view, I think he liked. So and I did get a lot of positive response. There was obviously some negative, but mostly positive, both from people from both sides of the issue. So so I do like to try to bring people together sometimes and find common ground in situations. So.
Well, you do something that people aren't used to doing in 2019. You actually think it through, and whether anybody agrees or disagrees with you, they have to admit that you've thought the issue through and you have your opinion, and that's that. But, there are people out there that are just going to jump to the whole "I'm offended" line, because that's what we do these days.
Oh, sure.
But,
sure.
It's enjoyable to one see your viewpoint fleshed out, and two, to see the comments, because God, I think I have an addiction, and it's Facebook comments. That's what my life. That's one of my favorite things is Facebook comments, because it is like Jerry Springer almost. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, not almost. It is. Yeah, it's pretty much Jerry Springer, only a very kind of like instant Jerry Springer. It's like no writing necessary. It writes itself. So.
Hell yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, our time with you flew by this week. As always, I love talking to you. It's been since the summer of 2018, I think, since we talked, and it was spec then, I believe. But I tell you what, Ray, you are the man. Thank you, as always, for bringing light to a dark situation. Can you let everybody know where they can find you, whether it's the, I know I just came up with that,
sure.
the Grime Sisters group or otherwise?
No, probably the easiest thing is just to go to historycop.com, and there's links to everything from there. And then it's got links to my blog, which will also give you links to the Facebook groups and all that good stuff. So if you start out at historycop.com and then you end up going through the rabbit hole, you'll find the other stuff that I'm involved in. So that's the easiest thing to do.
Our foremost authority for Chicago crime, Chicago history, all things Chicago, Ray Johnson, the man. Our most listened to guest, I think all time, Blake, you don't count anymore. Sorry, buddy. Ray, you are the one that has been on the show the most, and so therefore you are the most listened to guest. So props to you, my friend. And props to your city for just being interesting in general. So.
And it's no slowing down either. It's going to keep getting interesting, I have a feeling. So. But
absolutely.
But yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate you guys getting a hold of me, and love spending time with you guys, and hopefully your listeners enjoy it. So I know I do. So
they better. All right. We'll talk soon, okay, bud? You take care and have a good night, okay?
All right. You
all
too.
Right, later on, bud.
Take it easy.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye. Take care.
All right, that definitely in my top of guests right there. Sorry, Blake, I know you get offended about that, but you're not a guest anymore.
I'm a little offended. I'm a little offended because you said
you're not a guest.
He's a celebrity. It's like, wait a minute, I have a best-selling book on Nightmare on Elm Street out there. I'm a celebrity. What are you doing?
But you're no guest. You're no guest. You're our comrade, our commandant, mustachioed aficionado of Elm Street at this point, you know, because we've got to have, like, the balance here. You've got me with Friday the 13th series. You've got Vic with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We needed a Nightmare on Elm Street, and there you are. Eventually we'll find some